Microphone on. Morning, Hans Kelder.
Good morning, Scotty and Joe. How's it going?
Morning, Hans.
Time for my favourite point of the week.
You guys are very kind, no doubt about that.
Now, and by the way, before we talk about today's subject, you've got these on YouTube, so people can check out YouTube. How do they find them?
On Talk to the Hands marriage tips.
Nice.
So they're all there.
I like it.
So people just want to remind themselves, or they heard something here and they kind of didn't really catch it, or they want to share it with their partner.
Yeah. I see where you're going with that. Honey, you need to watch this.
Yeah, honey.
No, it could be a case of, sweetheart, watch this. This could really help us. You know.
It's all to do with the inflection.
Spin.
Yeah. Sorry. What's our topic today?
I see it my way and you see it your way.
Oh.
It's interesting. I don't know whether you've ever experienced this, but you might have had a couple come to your place and they're describing a holiday. And the guy says, "Oh, we went to this place, and the beach was brilliant. It was beautiful." Then the wife says, "No, it wasn't. There was rubbish everywhere. There's wood everywhere." And you even said, darling, to me at the time, this beach is beautiful, but there's a lot of rubbish everywhere. And so what they do, they end up arguing in front of you about their experience. Have you ever experienced that with couples? You ever had couples?
No, never. No.
How about you, Joe? Have you had couples argue about things?
I'm concerned that my marriage might actually be the offending party where we go to other people's houses.
You might drop the rubbish.
Well, I'm sad.
And of course, what happens there is that sometimes I go home and the argument will continue. But really what it is that two people have experienced the same thing differently, and it's just the way that they perceive things. And so what I often tell couples, say for example there's a car accident, and there's a doctor who saw it, a panel beater, and there's a teenager who saw it, and a mum who saw it. We only get 4 different stories. So one event, 4 stories. The panel beater is going to say, look, the car had this much damage. The doctor is going to focus on, from his experience on
the injuries and stuff.
That's right,
yep.
Yeah. The mum's going to feel sorry, say if there was another mum in there, she'd be able to relate to the mum. And the teenager's going to go, whoa, you still just... So you got 4 different people
interesting
seeing the same incident, but you'll get 4 different stories.
So now tell me, does gender come into all this? I mean, is there a real difference between men and women?
I think it has more to do with your background, your personality and character in the way that you see things. And so some people will complain, darling, you're always looking at a glass half empty. I see it half full. And so it's just the way people experience things differently. And it's very good if you just learn to accept that your wife or your husband is just going to see the world differently, and you could save yourself a lot of arguments by just understanding.
Yeah, but see, I'm always right in our discussions. I mean, how do I get that across to her? That she just needs to realise that I'm correct.
You see what I have to work with, Hans?
You always ask very good questions, Scotty. There's no doubt about that.
Up until now.
You ask good questions. The one thing you're not going to change is when people start believing what they've seen. And so once people believe what they've seen and are sort of firmly imprinted, it's part of their belief system, you're not going to change your belief system. So it doesn't matter how much convincing you can do. Well, you've got to do a lot of convincing actually. But once they actually believe what they've seen, it's very hard to change someone's belief. And so you really got to accept the information or their description of whatever they saw. And so, as again, you'll find a lot of couples will argue over these sometimes trivial things, and they're trying to convince the other person to see it their way, and they just can't, because it's part of the way that they believe their stories.
So how do you overcome that? I mean, how do you do it when two people see things completely different, they're passionate about what they've seen? How do you overcome that?
Often you can't. You just got to accept, say, okay, you saw it your way, I saw it my way, let's leave it at that. And you've got to more or less just respect the other person's way that they experienced it. Now it becomes quite an issue when the other person feels like you're not supporting them because you don't see it their way. Then it becomes a deeper issue. Say for example, the way you bring up children can often be an issue. So you've decided, so often two couples, or couple, mother and the father will have a different way of bringing up children. And so one does it one way, the other one does it way. You try and compromise, sometimes it doesn't work. But if you believe that your way of bringing up children is better than your wife's way of bringing up children, and then she's not doing it your way, and then you say, darling, you're not supporting me, you're undermining what I'm doing here, then it becomes an issue.
So how do you deal with that? Because that's a major issue. And if you really strongly think that your way is best and their way is not, how do you overcome that?
The best way to do it is you need to respect the other person's view, and you need to see that it's a belief system. So they really believe this strongly, or they feel it, you see. And so you need to come to some sort of a compromise on those sort of things. But if you're just going to barge in and say, no, look, this is it, and everybody's got to toe the line my way, you will then cause these agitated feelings. And sometimes it could end up with a build-up of resentment in the other person who feels they're not respected in any way because one person insists on having it their way. So every time you insist on having something your way and the other person can't really do it because, it just goes against their very belief system, you're going to end up with some trouble. So the best thing to do is to try and compromise and also say, okay, look, I understand your way, I'll allow you to do it your way, if you allow me to do it my way, and we'll try and still work together. So what you're trying to do is you work together rather than sort of being rigid.
Nice.
Hey, you're really thinking about this one.
I'm transferring it to my own relationship.
Are you really?
I'm married to a Dutch woman. I mean, you can relate to that, right?
Oh wow.
Right?
I can, yes, a very warm, kind, compassionate.
Yeah, we apologise to all of our delightful Dutch listeners.
I love
They're very lovely. They've got nice blue eyes often,
That's right.
Yes.
That's
I'm
right.
glad to hear that, Scotty.
Okay, moving right along.
Yeah,
Yes.
let's just play a song. I don't think
Thank
we
you
should try
so
to do
much
anything else.
for being here this morning. That's it, joke of the day real soon.